Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Yes Abroad Global Youth Service Day live event. This is the first in a series of 2 that we will be having. And bear with us until all of the participants are here. So let me see. We have so Mia. Okay, so it says that Mia, you need to update your Instagram app in order to join the chat. We have Margaret here with us.
Hi.
Hello, Margaret. Okay.
Hello.
Great to see you. And while we wait for Mia to update the Insta application, I will once again say for those who were not here when we initiated the live event that this is the first in a series of 2 Yes Abroad program events in honor of Global Youth Service Day. And that today we will be talking about Global Youth Service Day project, but also about community projects in general, encouraging everyone to join us and organize their own projects, especially our Yes Abroad and Yes program students who might be watching the live. First of all, thank you, Margaret and Mia, for being willing to join in today. I will also introduce myself for others who might be seeing, and I will also give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves. My name is Ivan. I work as American Council's country representative in Montenegro. I'm a Flex alumnus. I participated in Flex program a while back, and I was the first Flex alumni coordinator in Montenegro after I returned. So the program was just starting out here in this country. So I have 7 years of experience with being alumni coordinator and organizing projects, including Global Youth Service Day project, plus all the experience after as a country rep. And besides that, I'm a lawyer. I work at a bank as a senior compliance officer. So let's see whether we can add Mia now. I guess yes.
Come on, Mia.
I've sent a request. She should have, I think, received it. Okay, she's invited.
Yeah, I think she went to go update her app, so I'm not sure if she's returned.
I guess we will get the invitation. If not, we will be inviting her again later. In the meantime, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Oh, Mia's here. Mia's here.
Okay.
Yay. Okay, great. Yeah, I can introduce myself. My name is Margaret. I use she, her pronouns. I am a Yes Abroad alumna to Bulgaria. So I spent the 2017 to 18 school year living in Sofia, Bulgaria. It's not allowing Mia to join. Mia!
Okay, we'll try inviting you once again. Sorry, okay. We tried again, so you should have received the invitation right now.
I just think there's not a single Instagram live that doesn't start with some sort of technical difficulties. Like the last time I did something on the Yes Abroad account, it kept like I was joining from my own personal account, and then I would get on, but I couldn't see the other person, and then the other person couldn't see me. It was like the audience could see us both. It was a whole mess, but we always work it out in the end. I'll just continue introducing. Yes, I was in Sofia 2017 to 18 as a gap year participant. I'm originally from Eugene, Oregon, and that's where I am now. I've been here this whole past year and change of the pandemic. But I normally go to school at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where I'm studying theater and performance studies with minors in music and justice and peace studies. Currently, I'm working at a company called One Voice Productions as a production coordinator for music and video production, which is very fun. Been a nice change of pace to Zoom school, but yeah, that's kind of
very impressive. Very impressive.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Same to you.
I've invited Mia again. I don't know if she will be able to join us. I hope she will. If not, maybe she can be communicating with us through chat or something. If Instagram Live doesn't allow us to unfortunately have 3 of us, which we hoped. So I guess we should start off by talking a little bit about community service in general and about what inspired us to start on some of the things that we did. And maybe I can go first and say a little bit about how it worked for me. So it was a long time ago, but I remember, and I think the best lesson I've learned is that before starting out and branching out into something, one should really believe in the idea and really be passionate about it. And because when you're passionate about something, then you're very inspired and driven to pursue the certain project. And I believe that I remember while back when I came back from the United States, I thought, I'm going to do this huge project immediately. And I'm going to organize exchanges between North Carolina, where I was placed while I was in the US, and Montenegro. And then I remember somebody telling me, maybe you should try to scale it down a bit in the beginning and then, go from there. And at the time, when you're, I guess, a teenager and you think, you can do everything. I mean, you can, but gradually. I thought, oh, they're just, they don't believe in my idea. They don't want to motivate me. But then we started organizing alumni association. We were the first generation. So there was a bunch of us, not bunch of us, a group of us who wanted to do things and who wanted to organize the association and do something in the community. So practically, when I go back and think about it, I remember our first project was a celebration of a Halloween in Montenegro. It was never celebrated here. And we wanted to invite a group of kids to the American Corner and, share the tradition of Halloween with them. So it was a super small event. A lot of planning went into it regardless. And there was a bunch of things that after the event was completed and it was successful that we thought, oh, we could have done this better. And that we worked on into improving it for the next year. It gradually went through. So from, 10 participants the first year, ended up having 150 participants in the years that followed, including a bunch of other activities compared to the first year. So I guess my message is that starting small is not something people should be afraid of or that they shouldn't pursue because they believe that they wouldn't make an impact in the community. Or also, 10 years later, we're doing huge projects. But back at the time, even these small things now that I'm thinking about that we did in the past really helped us pave the way for everything that came later. And I don't know what your experience is with this, and what do you think? What is something that motivates you when you want to do something for your community, when you want to do a community-oriented service project?
Yeah, well, I think it's absolutely right that in my opinion, if you start with like the biggest possible goal, you're oftentimes gonna get frustrated and end up not being able to accomplish it because it's harder than you thought, or there's more components, or there's less interest. So if you start smaller scale and you start with things that you can make happen, you can make like a step-by-step plan of how you get from point A to point B. That's going to lead you to a lot more success later on, I think, because once you achieve the first thing, you have that really good feeling of, oh, I did it, I accomplished something, and then you can keep going. So I think that's absolutely true. And I think that applies to so many areas of life. And then, if you have that drive to support your community and to make a difference, then it manifests there as well. I do think, I just want to point out that we're definitely going to need to get Mia on at some point, even if I have to hop off, just because her project is absolutely incredible. And I don't want
incredible. It's amazing.
So I can definitely hop off at some point and we can get her in to chat if it's only allowing us to have two people, because I want to make sure that everyone hears about her incredible work. So personally, the thing that I've been doing in the pandemic, which is, I've been teaching Zumba classes online for friends and family and like workout classes, which started off as like I'm bored in my house. Does anyone want to do this? And then it became a real community and a real sense of connection. What's been interesting though, and that I think is also relevant, is that it's kind of shrunk as people's lives in the pandemic have opened up a bit more, not in terms of opening up like, things opening, because it's still good to stay home, everyone. But in terms of, a lot of different organizations have figured out how to do things virtually. Like people started to orient themselves more to this life over the last, year or so. And so it's kind of reduced down to like this really core group of people that come to Zumba every week. And, last summer we would have a lot more people and it was a lot, bigger, and I was posting about it all the time. And now it's a little quieter and fewer people come, but it's important to those few people, and those people need it. And that's also really valuable. I think oftentimes we kind of measure success of things in terms of how big it is, how many people it's reaching, how exciting it is, how, you know, but sometimes it's just being reliable and being present for people who need you, is what is making the biggest impact. And I think for me, if I've been really set on continually growing this program I've been doing and continually getting more participants and getting bigger and more classes and all these things, I think I would end up being disappointed and being really frustrated and being like, well, it's not working, so I'll just quit, which isn't a good attitude, because the people who come still love it and want to be there. And it's been a lifeline and a community and a way to move when we're stuck in our houses and don't have access to, you know, the sports or the dance classes or the gyms or whatever people normally do. So yeah, I think like it's both and, you know, it's what you were talking about of, if you start small, then you can grow to bigger. But also you have to let the project shape itself to what the need is and match the need.
So the community.
Yeah, so
your targeted community, the community you're trying to reach out to.
Yeah, and so for me teaching Zumba classes, the goal is like the people who want an outlet for movement, want that serotonin, want those endorphins. You know, that's who I'm trying to reach. And if that's 2 people 1 week, that's awesome. Great. I'm glad I could help those 2 people. So yeah, I think it's about having that, kind of taking yourself out of it and being really focusing on what the community needs.
Okay, yeah, you're right, and it moves right into to another question that I had in mind. Value of starting things on a smaller scale, starting things that you know you would regularly do, maybe for yourself, and you think to yourself, well, maybe this can also be of help to someone else in the community. It can be, you know, it can vary. It can go from one thing to another, depending on your interest, on your time, the frequency that you can repeat. How often did you do the classes? Maybe you mentioned it, maybe I missed it.
Well, so I started off with once a week last spring. I think my first class was March 21st of 20, and I started off, I was alternating a Saturday class 1 week, a Sunday class the next week, a Saturday class 1 week, a Sunday class the next week. And I did that for a couple months. And then over the summer, I was offering twice a week because there was the interest. People wanted to move. And so I was offering it every Saturday and every Wednesday for the whole summer. And then last fall, I also teach at my university. Oh, you can join the Zumba class if you go to the link in my bio. It's zoomzumba2020.eventbrite.com to answer the question in the chat. There is a small fee associated with it now, just because I had to purchase equipment and stuff to keep it going. But also, if the fee is not feasible for you, just message me and you're totally set and welcome to join. So then I also teach classes through my university. And so I did that twice a week last semester, but my personal classes for my friends was just once a week. And that's continued this semester. It's just once a week.
It's very, very, very impressive. And while you were talking about it, and while you were talking about a number of people that were joining throughout different periods of time that you were offering classes, I thought of a question that we can both kind of answer. When organizing a project, one of the things that you worry about, and you said, you know, I mean, at least you think about it, maybe not always worry. You're like, whether I will have the community partake in this, whether there will be audience for this that I'm offering. Did you think about it when you got the idea, I'm just gonna start this, or were you know, I'm gonna start it, whoever wants to join, if nobody wants to join, that's also fine, or were you kind of, I don't know, worried whether the community would respond to the idea?
Well, I mean, I only was interested in doing it if people wanted it. So because I've been teaching every week on campus, and then they said, leave campus. And so I left campus. And so I just posted, because I was like, well, it can totally be taught online. Like if I have a camera on my laptop, like that's totally doable. So I just, basically I posted on Facebook, I posted on my Instagram stories, posted on my Twitter, like, do people want this? Is it something that people will be interested in? And across the platforms, I got like over 150 responses of people being like, yes, like I would love this. And of course, 150 people did not come to the class. I think I got like, my first class had like 20 something maybe, which was big and was really exciting. Because I mean, I'd been home for like 11 days, I think. I hadn't been back home for that long, and was playing with, I figured out how to share my Zoom audio, and I had lights set up, and so it was going to give me something to do. But I knew the interest was there because people had, I had asked, and people had said yes. And if everyone had been like, no, then I would have said, all right, cool, I won't do it.
Well, that's also, it's really cool that now we have all the social media and all the ways that we can reach out to people and maybe poll the people to see what the interest of the community is. Sometimes, though, we might not get the response that we want, or we might not get the right response from the community that we surrounded ourselves with, which usually are our followers on Twitter, either Instagram, and so on and so on. But also very important to emphasize that in my opinion and my experience, if you really want to do something and you have an idea and you want to do something like a community-oriented project, and you don't have people within your network that might be of help, that might be able to support you, don't discourage yourself. Branch out into other communities, and definitely you will be able to identify people in time. Maybe it will take a little bit more effort, but you will be able. I mean, I'm saying this to our audience today. You'll be able to find the right people to start your project, or to work with you, or to help you, and so on. And
huge also to check on, like, is someone already doing it? Like, is there a place where I can help out with someone who's already working on this project and help them grow it to a bigger scale? Because I mean, obviously it's incredible to start your own things, and with my personal example, it was it was me teaching Zumba classes, so I knew that I wasn't teaching Zumba classes anywhere else. But if you have an idea, maybe look into, well, is this happening? Is there somewhere where I can be of use and help grow someone else's small scale project into something bigger? Or is it something that it's specific to my community? I know no one else is doing it. Like, I'm going to make it happen. Then you can go out and find that team.
Do it. And you just reminded me of a thing that we did here back in the day. We were young, we were volunteers. We wanted to do something for the people in social need. And we really didn't have contacts. We didn't know who to turn to. But there was a food bank here in Montenegro that was doing the work, and they needed the volunteers. They needed the fresh power people who would, go to stores and promote the activities, ask people to donate, collect the food, pack it, distribute it later on. So we were that part of their project. And that's also a thing, as you said. If you identify that there is something in the community, someone else is doing it, but you can support them, or you can join them, or you can help them grow their own thing. That's also a great option, and something definitely worth considering and worth doing. Let's go back to your exchange time. How do you think that influenced you into wanting to contribute to your own community? Because I know from my own example, being in the United States and seeing the community-oriented culture of people, and people, usually, I don't know in other communities, but in my own here before, even more than today, it was usually people would identify that there were problems, or identify something that needed to be done, or fixed, or improved, or I don't know, addressed. But they would usually say, if I was a president, I would do this. If I was a prime minister, I would do this. And realistically, not everyone's going to become a prime minister or president. That means you're not doing anything to address those issues or those problems. But when I was in the States, I saw people in the community. There were a lot of problems in the community, but they would organize themselves. They would say, okay, this is missing in this community. Let's do something about this. Let's volunteer our time on Saturdays. Let's build houses for the people in need. Let's collect food for the people in need, or whatever. Let's try to do something to provide better healthcare for the people who do not have insurance, and so on. And that really impressed me. Not waiting for someone to help you. You being the one that organizes people, or you join other people who are being organized. Just that community spirit that gets things done. So I want to hear your perspective, because you are an American and you went abroad, you went somewhere else. How did your exchange experience influence you into organizing and being more dedicated to the community?
Yeah, I think that I definitely gained a lot of appreciation for that attitude in my home community in the U.S. Like, that kind of attitude of, like, I see something's wrong, I'm going to make a change, I'm going to fight to change it. Also really, really inspired by the YES alumni community in Bulgaria, and the students who had come back from the US and done that work that you're talking about, of starting projects and making things happen in a culture that doesn't have that as a norm, which, every culture's norms are different, but I think it was really admirable to see you know, good friends of mine in the Yes alumni community who were working to change, to implement these sorts of great projects in their communities, who got people excited about it and showed up. So I think that was certainly inspiring. And then also just because volunteering is such a big focus for the program, you know, there's an expectation of volunteering when you go on Yes Abroad. And so, you know, I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do? So I got, you know, involved in things. I volunteered in refugee camps. I volunteered in classrooms, and that was something that I didn't really have time to do or access to in my everyday life in high school. You know, I would volunteer. My high school had a volunteering requirement, and I would do things, but they were a little bit more like, well, I have to volunteer to graduate. So
to kind of tick the box. Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting to volunteer on something that felt so impactful and that felt so relevant and had these broader implications, and, you know, volunteering in refugee camps really allowed me to start having really interesting conversations with Bulgarians about that aspect of the you know, political and cultural climate in their country. And it was really fruitful and interesting. And so I think that, yeah, I think just being in a program that has this emphasis on, you know, service, just puts it top of mind, you know, so you just start thinking about it more and start thinking of more ways to engage with it. And you know, when I was abroad, I saw a lot of scary things happening in the US. And so when I got home, I got a lot more involved in political organizing and used some of those like community oriented skills that I'd gained on program to build a community of people who wanted to see positive change in the US as well.
No, and that's great. That's also important to say that, yeah, there are networks. You are a Yes Abroad alumna. There are a lot of Yes alumni, Flex alumni as well, U.S. government alumni in general. So it's a great network of people that you can, you know, you get to know each other. We get to network a bit, quite a bit, but then, you know, we go back to our communities that might not be always so compact. Like Montenegro is a very small country. So for us, it might be easier to organize ourselves amongst ourselves, so alumni. But I understand the challenges, and you mentioned that you were in Bulgaria, and Bulgaria is a big country. And I remember working with alumni from Bulgaria, and they would usually say, it's a huge country. We don't get enough opportunities to come together and to work together on a project on a concrete location when we're all kind of, you know, because it takes maybe a day to travel from a very distant place. And it's the same in the US. So I guess message from both of us, I mean, US, of course, even bigger than Bulgaria. So it's a message of both of us to people that, yes, while we might be distant alumni in location, we're always here to support each other with ideas, with know-how, with experiences that we can share, you know, applications for grants that we can check through, suggestions that we can make. And then also we can suggest where to look for potential partners or for potential networks of people that people want to join and inspire and get them moving and so on and so on. So the fact that, you know, there might not be an alumnus or alumna near us or near you or, you know, near a certain person, that doesn't mean we should not get involved. Or, you know, the fact that we are not applying for a $100,000 grant also shouldn't mean that we should not be doing anything, because there's a lot of zero budget projects that, you know, do not require a separate budget. They require time, dedication, they require motivation to do them, but they're really making a difference. And I think that effect of like combining all those small things in a community really, really changes the community for the better. I don't know whether you would agree. Yeah.
Oh no, I completely agree. And I'm just thinking in terms of our time, I might want to hop off and see if we can get Mia so she can chat. Yes, awesome advice. And if I'm able to hop in when she's here, and if Instagram allows that, I'll come back. But I just want to make sure.
I'll try to invite you once she's in. And thank you so much for sharing this inspirational story, project, and everything with us.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to chat with you. Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, much love. I'll be back maybe, but we'll see. We'll talk.
Okay, now I'm gonna try to invite Mia to join. Let's see if it works now. Yay! Hello, Mia.
I think maybe it just allows 2 people, and that was the box.
Instagram promised us 4. I think we all updated our application, but yes, you're right. For some reason today, it seems that 4 people are not allowed to join. I can try just in case to see whether we can add Margaret back into the call, but
Okay.
So you've heard what we've discussed, and I saw your comments in the comment section. And thank you again so much for joining and for being willing to share your experiences with us and to motivate fellow alumni to be active and to partake in Global Youth Service Day projects or in community service projects in general. And I've read an amazing article about you and a project that you did. So I would give the floor to you to let us a little bit more about your amazing initiative, and then we can also try to answer some of the additional questions.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, Ivan. So my project was Guardian on the Go, which was a mask initiative that I started right when the pandemic hit, a little bit over a year ago. It's hard to believe that it's been that long already, but I started to see that the PPE, the medical grade PPE was being used up by all the civilians when the medical professionals really needed it to treat the patients in the ICU, and when everyone was so uncertain about what was going on in the world, because as we all experienced, everything was just completely thrown up in the air. So I knew how to sew, and I was trying to think of ways that I could maybe make masks in a more sustainable fashion. And I watched like 800 YouTube videos and started going down all these little research rabbit holes to see what a good effective way would be to produce some masks. So my neighbors are doctors, and they had some leftover scrubs that they said I could use to start, testing out as fabric. And I learned through research that scrubs have a higher thread count than most regular cotton, so it would help with filtration. And also they were recycled, so I was like, well, that kind of fits the sustainable model I was hoping to join in the first place. So after a few trial and errors, I eventually got a template down, and then fortunately enough, I have a bunch of amazing friends and people through the Yes Abroad network who helped me out and collaborated, and this project would have been absolutely nothing without them. So I'm so incredibly thankful to have such a supportive network around me. But we ended up selling masks all over the country and donating all of the proceeds to help alleviate adversities brought on by the pandemic.
I mean, this is so impressive. And while reading the article, I saw that the donations were made all over the country, as you said, but also towards vaccine research and so on. So very impressive. Congratulations to you, and thank you for sharing information about the overview of the project. But can you tell us? Only you saying what you had to do, you briefly saying what you had to do in order to make this successful, it already tells us how much effort really goes behind the project, how many things you need to think about and to do. And when I go back and think about some of the Global Youth Service projects that were done here by alumni, maybe, when they were younger and so on, and they want to do something for the environment, but then there is a lot of printing involved and a lot of things, and you're saying, no, if you're doing something for the environment, then we need to think of a sustainable way to do this. And I remember people from American Council saying that, and maybe older alumni also giving that advice later on, and that's very interesting. I guess you made a great point. What I want to say is that you made a great point of how much research needs to go into that initial idea a person might have. But can you tell us more maybe about some of the obstacles that you faced along the way and how you overcame those obstacles?
Definitely. So one of the first obstacles that I encountered was just keeping up with the volume of orders that I was receiving online. And luckily, some of my friends were so eager to help me sew the masks and distribute them, run around town, run to the post office, even learn how to sew from scratch. So it's just super inspiring to see how everyone was so willing to get involved and to contribute in any way that they could, even when everyone felt so insecure and anxious, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. But another obstacle that I had on top of keeping up with orders was just managing all of the different aspects. So that really taught me personally a lot about delegation and organization and all of these other things that you don't think of on the surface level necessarily when it comes to starting a business, I guess you could call it. It was technically a business, but it really just shows me how much work goes into every single endeavor that people do. So every single small business you see out here that's been struggling during the pandemic, so much preparation and hard work has gone through them to producing what we see and take for granted sometimes. So it really just makes me appreciate all of that a little bit more and admire everyone that goes out to start any initiative, no matter how small it may be.
Definitely, and I admire your project and your initiative, and Margaret's project and her initiative, and all of the amazing things that alumni have done in the past year. It's just amazing to see how quickly this transfer was made from in-person activities onto the online platforms, and how community was still motivated to do all kinds of interesting and amazing things to help out during the pandemic and to help deal with the consequences this pandemic is taking on all of us, but also to still be engaged in the community, although we were for a long time, just trapped in our homes.
Exactly.
And to go back to one interesting question that we also discussed with Margaret before, how would you say that the exchange experience that you had affected you and did it affect you to become more involved with your community? What's the impact of the exchange on you regarding your community activism?
So my Yes Abroad experience had an immense impact on how I view service and volunteering today, because before I went on exchange, I still loved to do volunteer work, but it was never really a core emphasis of something I tried to pursue in life. But during my exchange, my host mother and my host family were so amazing, and they got me involved with so many amazing service projects and service trips to different places in Southeast Asia. But these experiences were very transformative and really emphasized generosity and giving back and collaboration, and just trying to be the best human I can be for other people and for the planet as much as I can. So I came back. My experience in Malaysia with Yes Abroad played a huge factor in me starting the Guardian on the Go project. Not only was it inspirational, but it also provided me with a big network. For example, the website was built by Luca, who went to India my year. And a bunch of other Yes Abroad people supported it. As you saw, they wrote an article to help promote it, which was super nice. But just like the network in general, and just how inspiring every single person that goes out of their way to do an exchange experience like this, or to help other people, and all of their efforts just show a lot about the community itself and how people can accomplish anything if they work together.
And I think that might even be the main message we want to send, is just doesn't matter where we are and what conditions we find ourselves in, like we did in a world pandemic. Who would have thought about this in 2019 and so on, that we would be in this position. Still, when we want to achieve something, we can. And if we really want to be of use for the community, we can. We can always find a way, and we can always find a time. Because I've heard many times, and I'm sure you've heard many times from your friends or people around you, oh, I would love to do that, but I really don't have time. I'm so busy. I'm so busy with studying. I'm so busy with work. I'm so busy with like all of these things going on. And yes, that's true. We are all very busy. It doesn't matter that if we were students, if we are working. If we're working one job, two jobs, and so on, we're super busy. But I think it's super important to find a time to give back to the community, or even in business. If we're starting a business, as you started with this, to kind of think about what purpose does this business have for the community, besides even if it's a for-profit business. Maybe we'll start a for-profit business in the future. And I think businesses should be more oriented towards the community as well, and think, yes, we're earning money, but also what can we do to give back to the community? So you're completely right, and I think that's one of the main messages we're trying to send today. And I also think one of the main messages that we want to send is the message of encouragement to people. So if you could share briefly or not briefly, however you prefer, what does it mean to you personally to impact the community? And if you could send a message to all the alumni watching, or to all the people who are maybe future alumni, future program participants, or who are just watching us, you know, because they're following this page. What does it mean to impact the community for you, and what would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so to me, being a productive member of the community and giving back is just something very constructive to society and allows us to interact with others, which will in turn get so much out of ourselves. So one thing I've noticed is that doing good things definitely comes full circle and can just enrich your life in so many ways. So with that, I would encourage anyone, if they have the opportunity, to go out, meet new people, COVID safe right now at least, but you know, just take those opportunities to give back if you're fortunate enough to, and to interact with people you may have never had the chance to meet before, because there's always something new to learn from everybody that you encounter, and it's just very valuable, I guess, to me personally, to be able to serve like that and to be able to just deepen my connection with the people around me.
That's amazing, and thank you so much for both sharing about the project and for sharing about you know, sharing your message with all of us. I don't know, like maybe how long we've been already live for I guess 37 minutes. Is there anything else that you would like to share that I missed to ask, that you really felt, you know, today I want to share this, no matter if they ask or not? If there's anything you would additionally like to share in addition to what we discussed, please feel free to interrupt me or to share.
Well, I think that last part kind of spread the main intent of why I wanted to join today, but I would just say, if any of you all ever have an idea, as grandiose as it may seem at the time or as intimidating as it may seem, just start, because once you start, the potential to grow and to transform your movement and your message is limitless. So if y'all need anything from me, never hesitate to reach out. Never hesitate to encourage your friends to join you too, because that's a great opportunity to get closer with them and to do some great things for the community and for the world as well. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being willing to share, to both you and Margaret. So I want just to underline what you said, and I want to say, no matter how small something seems to you, and to our audience, I say, when I say to you, start the project, start small, build up on it, see how it goes. Maybe you will decide to completely switch the idea, change the idea in the process. Know that there is a lot of work to be put in, but also there is a lot to be gained, both personally, in terms of, you know, you feeling better about doing something for the community, doing something good for someone else, doing something good for the place where we all live, but also to learn, because these are all practical skills that are, you know, really useful in the life moving forward. The skills you gain during the exchange programs, the skills you gain throughout these projects that we talked about today, they just improve you and they equip you better for what's to come. And now that we are about to celebrate Global Youth Service Day in a different circumstances, this year, I want to say that this shouldn't stop us. The fact that we cannot go out and that we can't do projects in person should not stop us from doing projects at all. And as we saw, there are ways to do things online. There are ways to engage people online. There are ways to do this safely. And during the past year, there were a lot of projects that we did. And people, our audience today, heard about some of them. And there's no stopping us. So if we want to do something, we can do it despite the circumstances. And yes, it's challenging. I think we're all kind of tired of online platforms, of Zoom, of this and that. But there are ways to make it more interactive. There are ways to, you know, engage people even across the platforms. And hopefully next year we'll be doing our Global Youth Service Day projects and all of the projects in person. But until then, we all need to keep safe. But we all need to still be dedicated to our community and work for the better of our community. So I guess that would be my message. And I would like to thank both Mia and Margaret for joining us today, for sharing about their amazing initiatives and sharing about experiences in general. So exchange experiences and the process they had to go through to complete these very, very successful projects. If anyone, we saw that there were some questions in the chat box during the time, but if we failed to answer anything, you can always reach out to any one of us privately through Instagram and so on, and we'll be able to answer your questions about projects, about Global Youth Service Day, project management, organizing a project, whatever you want. All the questions about applying for Yes Abroad program, you can directly DM this page, Yes Abroad page on Instagram, or Google the program and reach out to the program staff, and they will be able to answer those questions for those who are interested. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe. Once again, thank you so much to Margaret and Mia, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person one day and maybe even work on some projects together.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much, Ivan. Your message was incredible. And Margaret, you're amazing too. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you both, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.